Welcome back for another podcast, another weekly episode that Cesar and I are doing here, and really just wanted to kind of check in, take this opportunity to not interview anyone this week, and just Cesar and I check in with our listeners, and really show some appreciation, man, for the hardcores of people who've been listening in and interacting and sending us questions and engaging in the comment section. And it's like, it just feels good, man, because the truth of the matter is this can be a difficult process.
hmm
If we're independently wealthy and this was something we wanted to do, and we didn't have to worry about making money, that'd be kind of cool. But the truth of the matter is that we have our daily jobs that we got to go to every day, and then here, 6 o'clock at night, we get together and chit chat. Today we're going to record our conversation, but definitely appreciative of people who listen in and engage, man. It goes a long way. I kind of feel like it's almost like owning a small business, and people are buying your
Yeah.
products, or at least visiting, patronizing your store, um, and engaging in it. It feels good. I'm not gonna lie. So, what do you think, man?
Yeah, no, again, appreciate you guys joining us again. I know we've been having guests back to back pretty much last month and a half. So I think it gives us a nice little break for us as well to just take all of it in. I know it's complicated whenever we start talking about these kinds of subjects, and whenever we start talking about some of the experiences of our guests and stuff, it's difficult to understand and be able to come up with uh, a way to this freaking. Remember, Papa. Say
And
hi, Papa.
sometimes we have, and sometimes we have surprise guests into the studio.
He just marched in here. He just came back from swim practice.
From what
So
kind of practice?
he's swim. He
Oh,
was swimming,
nice.
doing swimming lessons. Bye,
Oh,
Papa. Cierra la puerta.
actually, that's funny because
Te amo.
that's what my kids are doing right now. They're swimming in the backyard. I get it, man. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had temperatures here in Texas, harboring around 100 degrees. And, if you've traveled the country, 100 degrees means something different in different places. When you add humidity and the barometric pressure and all these other things, like you go outside here and it feels like a physical presence, man. And I talk to my friends from up north. I'm like, I'll give you an example. I'm sweating in the shower, bro. Like, it's hot.
It's hot.
It's
I think it was like 103 or something earlier today.
no,
I was I was driving whenever I got off of work. My car is leather, all leather seats, bro. Hot.
nah, dude.
That was crazy.
Nah, man. I just got rid of my car that had leather seats, and I don't.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Hey, so I got this new car, and I'm just trying to figure out stuff, and I got it, and then a couple days later, we go on this long trip, family vacation, and I would feel like, everyone. I mean, every time I looked over, my family's asleep. Man, I'm driving. I drove 3,300 miles. I'd look over, and they'd be asleep, but in the back of my head, I'm like, kind of feels like the seat is warm, But I'm like, I've been sitting here for 5, 6, 8 hours, whatever. One day I drove 13 hours.
Ugh.
And yeah, and that was like sixth or seventh day. I was already like, my legs are hurting me. So
Heck no.
anyway, so when I finally got home, I was kind of exploring and doing stuff, and I finally found two buttons. And sure enough, dude, my new car has heated seats,
Heated
and it's
seats.
been on the
Yeah.
whole time, dude. So it was on low, luckily, but geez, man, it's like, yeah, that probably would cause some of my dang back pain and leg pain. But anyways, man, whatever.
I
We
think
had a
that
good
helps
trip.
too, though.
It
The
helps, you
heat
think?
on your back, it helps. Like whenever you have a sore back or whatever, if you put heat in it, like you just put like a heating pad or whatnot,
Yeah.
that'll help you get rid of that back pain.
That's true,
When,
right? That's true.
whenever I take the long trips, I just turn my heater too on the seats, and that helps relieve some of that like lower back pain.
I hadn't thought about that, man. That makes
Mhm.
sense. That may even have helped me, man.
It probably could have. You just felt hot. You felt a little
But
warm
listen,
down there.
so as I was saying, we have our normal jobs and we come, we do this podcast and invite our guests, and we've had some really great guests, and people have really spent time and energy. That's a big part of this. You kind of alluded to this earlier. Is that this subject is not just us being having a good time and laughing. That's easy, right? We can always have a good time. But when you start talking about death and dying and all those pieces, our last guest talked about making an attempt on his life, and that's heavy stuff, man. It's heavy. It's heavy. It's heavy for the listener. It's heavy for us as we engage, and so like we need time to recover as well. And I kind of think that's what this week is. This week is like
Yeah,
intentionally not trying to schedule anyone, just let's just check in on each other and see what's up, and viewers and people listening in as well, man.
yeah, absolutely. I think that's the biggest part of it. It takes a toll on us because again, we don't know what any of us are carrying with us every day. So we don't know what might have happened years ago or whatnot. You know what I mean? So listening to these stories and being able to listen to all of this and getting the feedback from our guests, that does sometimes it takes a toll on you, brings back memories that you don't even want to get back. And
No,
being
you're
able to
right.
deal with that, it takes time. It takes some energy. So yeah, I think definitely this week we'll be able to do that, recover,
Yeah.
re-energize, and be able to get back to it next week.
No, you saw that in some of our guests, right? They relived a moment, and they took us there, and it brought some emotion, it brought some vulnerability from our guests as they talk about being that close to losing someone or having lost someone, and
Yeah,
at all ages, man. And the thing about death, Caesar, we know is that it will affect us all. And our own death is not going to hurt us. It's the death of someone else, man. It's a
absolutely.
loved
I
one,
think that's a big part.
and you always think about that. Uh, I mean, we were almost talking about the death of a presidential candidate this week. Like
It's
on real,
insane.
that's crazy stuff, man. Like that's just a reality. Like so his children, his spouse, his team, they're just doing their job, right? And
Yeah,
that's running for president of the United States, and just like all the other candidates, there's not just two; there are many candidates, and
absolutely.
at no time do they think that is something that they would be discussing. It's a reality. If you've traveled the world,
Unfortunately,
the political deaths and assassinations are
yeah,
prevalent, but I think they said it's been about 40, 50 years since an attempt on.
yeah,
I think it was Ronald Reagan was the last attempt in 1980s.
it's been
Attempt,
a long
you
time.
know, yeah, but
Yeah,
actual committing of an assassination was Kennedy. But anyway, so
hmm
it's just such a relevant topic. And again, back to our point, we just needed a break. We needed to recover and recoup a little bit. Take this week to just kind of check in with each other, and we thought, well, we'll still record and do an episode of just us kind of going back and forth and talking about this. And really, I was going to ask you, man. So our goal was to record, um, to interview 20 guests, and as of today, we've interviewed 8 guests, man. So
yeah,
we're almost halfway there. And just kind of like this almost halfway point. What wanted to kind of get from you, what lessons have you learned? So on the business side of things, let's kind of chit chat about what you and I have learned on the, I wanted to talk also. I have my notes here on specific to the podcast and then our guests, but just on the business side of this, what have you learned, man? People are interested.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think on the business side of things, it you don't necessarily see. I mean, we all see podcasts. We all have people that we listen to, and things like that. We don't necessarily take into consideration the amount of time and effort and work that just getting an episode out there takes, man. I mean, we're newbies. Obviously, it's gonna take us a little bit longer to edit video, do all of this, set up. I mean, we don't have an actual like studio where everything's perfectly set up for us already. So coming in, having to set up, having to literally edit the video overnight at night, letting it. I mean, we don't have equipment. See, there we go. Our regular little all-in
Hey,
costs.
let's talk about what we don't have. We don't have equipment. We don't
We don't
have
have a studio.
background knowledge. We don't have
None
degrees
of that.
in this. We don't have any real experience. So
We
the
don't even
thing,
have
the
an
whole,
iPhone yet.
I don't even have an iPhone. Where's my phone? I don't know where it's at, but it's an Android. I'm charging it right now. It's an Android,
That's like
and it has
one of the first
stickers.
Androids that ever came out.
Yeah, man, it has stickers that my kids put on there, and my screensaver is a picture of sliced brisket
Yeah.
that I got from Terry Black's
Mm,
barbecue in
that's a good spot.
boy, I'll tell you about that
That's a good
spot.
spot.
So anyways, so there's a lot of things we don't know, but here's and don't have, if you will. But if you're listening in and you're kind of thinking like, I kind of have an idea and I want to do the same thing, and it's similar or it's different or it's something totally unique, just do it, man.
Go
Just
for it.
just go for it, right? Because Caesar, we could have planned and prepped, and no matter what, it would have still been the same. We would have still had to
Oh,
learn
and
all
we
the lessons.
did. What happened those first couple of times that we recorded and prepped, everything ready to go? We just had to just like sit in and go for it, and that's how it all started.
Yeah, man. You just got to do it, man, because it's not going to be perfect. The sound's going to suck. The visualization. I mean, we're ugly, dude. I'm ugly, anyways. You say you're
Whoa,
handsome.
whoa, whoa, whoa! Let's not generalize here. You might be. You might be.
I'm ugly. I'm ugly, and you know what? There's nothing you can do about that. You can't change anything. You can't.
I
You
can't
can.
Photoshop you or anything.
No, man. You can make fun of our voices. We can't change our voices. We're just whoever we are is who we are, man. And at a certain point, you can try to dress it up and clean it up however you think you want. Just do it, man. If you want to if you just want to record yourself cooking, if you want to record yourself
Yeah.
going, I don't know, to the store, whatever. Here's my advice to you, and that is, um, no matter what, you have to decide what your goal is. Our goal was
Hmm.
to interview 20 guests, and if 10 people or 20 people listen in, cool. If 50 listen in, like, oh man, that's badass, man. We didn't expect that. Um, that's our goal. And it's not that we have, it's not a low goal or a high goal. It's just we have a goal,
Yeah.
and we want to meet it, right? And we know that this is a great resource. We've heard back from many people like, yo, dude, the points that are being made, your guests are saying some great things, and we have more guests coming on that we anticipate are going to say some really really cool stuff. We have some veterans and higher ed professionals and some other ideas, music industry professionals, and the whole point is that it's kind of like the lesson I gave my son many years ago. He always likes to open the door. He's a really good kid. He opens the door for people. And one time he said, "Dad, I opened the door for that person, and she didn't even say thank you." And I said, "Yeah. Um, let's talk about why you opened the door. Why did you open the door?" He said,
Yeah.
"Well, because you taught me that's like, kind of a gentleman thing or a nice thing or courteous." So yeah, you were ahead of somebody and you just happened to open the door, and they don't It doesn't mean anything. It had nothing to do with age or gender or race or anything. It's just opening the door. And I said, so you opened the door because you thought it was the right thing to do. Did you open it for a thank you? Well, no. Okay. So you opened it. You got what you needed from it is to open the door.
Mhm.
Nice. And if they said thank you, that's a bonus. That's a
Yeah.
plus. But that's not why you open the door. And that's the point I'm making about this podcast. We would love to get thank yous and accolades and someone to reach out like a
Oh,
sponsor. Yeah, like real shit, man. We'd love all this stuff. But that's not why we're doing this. We're doing this because we think it's a great resource for those that we're engaging with and for the community.
yeah, and if even not even that, even just to us, just having those conversations, it helps us. It's
Real shit.
basically therapy for us.
Right, man.
I mean, being able to again just sit down with another guy, another couple other guys, whenever we have guests or whatnot, and just chit chat about life and chit chat about what we've taught, what experiences we've lived. That's
Yeah,
just therapeutic in
absolutely.
itself, and it's free.
And you know what? And that's a great point also because like normally if we get together, right? Let's say we're grabbing lunch and we're chit chatting. We're gonna talk about sports. We're gonna talk about uh the Copa America they just finished. We're going to talk about Argentina's win. We're going to talk about boxing, the Mike Tyson fight coming up. We're going to talk about a meal we had. So we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
But the cool thing about this podcast is we're creating lanes, parameters of where we want to be. And so it allows a
exactly.
30 to 45-minute conversation about one topic,
Yep.
for the most part, life, death, and everything in between. Seems like it's very broad, but really we're talking about the scenario of if you only had 30 days to live and how you would respond. And our guests have responded well to that.
Yeah. No, they have, and that's the thing too. Like it for them, just being able to. We heard it from Dr. Shirley last week. He had recently lost his father after losing
Only a
his
couple
mother a few
months
years
ago.
back. So being able to talk about this that is so fresh that you don't necessarily get to do that on a daily basis, it's like a huh kind of moment. That just letting it go, just making you feel at peace, even if it's for a second, or
Absolutely.
remembering the memory of our loved ones
You're
that
right.
we have lost in the process of it all.
And you're right, Caesar. It is therapy for us, man. I feel like even uh I had a dream about my mom that I didn't even tell anyone about this. I had a really good dream about my mom the other day, and I hadn't dreamt about my mom in a long time. I
Hmm.
just I think I suppressed that because just for a lot of reasons, bro.
It
And,
hurts.
and yeah, in the dream, I got to come through for her. She needed a little bit of help, and I just said, "Mom, just come over here. What do you?" And when I tell you that was fucking real to me, dude. Like I
Yep.
thought I was talking to my sister about my mom, and then I reached out to my mom and I talked to her. I was like, "Mom, why didn't you ask for help?" She said, "Oh, mijo, I just don't want to bother you." It's a conversation we had had 15, 20 times before.
Hmm.
I was like, "Mom, it's not that big of a deal. Come on, girl, come on over here." So we had made plans for her to come over the next day, and it all was legit, dude. And I woke up, I was about to tell Amita something, my spouse. I was about to tell her that I just talked to my mom, and then I woke up and I was like, it was a dream, dude. But
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I thought it was real until the moment I woke up.
You feel it, and it's. I think we brought it up, or I brought it up at least during our episode whenever we were talking about it, whenever we were doing the questions. They're always there with us. Our parents, we, your mom, my dad, they're always going to be there with us, no matter what. So it's just a matter of us reaching out and getting to talk to them. Let honest, basically, it's just opening the door for them and letting them in
Yeah,
because
man.
they're there with us. They keep following us everywhere we go. They're going to continue to guide us through the right path and continue to make sure that we're okay. I think uh, again for me that's what I believe in. And honestly feel it, and I think I mean, obviously, I would rather have my dad in person or whatnot, but he's okay. He's not suffering up there anymore. And he keeps, I think, as a kid, keeps protecting us where he's at. So
You
I'm
know,
happy
it's
with
like, yeah, absolutely, man. It's like, our last guest, Dr. Shirley, he talked about that. And and he's able to talk about his dad. And had it not been for this podcast and that conversation, we wouldn't have learned about his dad at that level.
that. Yeah,
We wouldn't have been able to hear from him his perspective and his difficulties and his joys and his struggles and barriers and successes. And that's true for every guest we've had. I think about Mr. Peace and Armand, Mr. Banks, just like the knowledge and perspective they've shared. Joel, took us back. I felt like I was there reliving, his almost losing
yep,
his son, and Dr. Flo and his ability to share, what I mean, from childhood. And then, we did something cool. We did something unique. We met with your brother, and he was able to
hmm
reach a whole other audience in talking about that subject. I mean, so we've done some cool stuff, man. If it ends right now, dude, we've done some cool stuff.
absolutely. And
But
it'll
we
be
have
something
another
that, again,
10, 12 guests to go.
yeah, it'll be something that we'll look back in 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years. And we like that was a cool moment. That was some dope times that we had.
Yeah.
Even if it was for a little bit, a couple hours, whatever a week that we put into the grind that we put into it, the time that we spent with our guests, and the lessons and memories that we were able to gain from our guests and that we were able to share with our guests. It's gonna be something that we remember for a while.
And I hope that our families know that, like, a lot of work went into this, man. It wasn't just, we didn't just kind of sit down and pop in and then just kind of chit chat. Like, the prep, all of the all of that. I'm plugging in my computer right now. All the preparation and scripting, and then and intentionally not scripting stuff, and it's a lot of work. And what I'm excited about is this, man. As you said, in 2, 3, 5 years, in 20 years, I'm not going to be here, man. 30 years, I won't be here, and uh, my children are going to be able to look back at
Yeah,
this. And like, I say this often, like, man, I wish I could hear my mom's voice one more time. I hope I never forget what her voice sounds like, right? And so I have saved, on my phone, a message from her and my
yeah,
last text to her and all that stuff. And so I know that won't be true, but let's say you lose your phone, or you lose that recording device, and all it is a memory. You think, but
that's
I'm
fine.
telling you, the cool thing about this is that our families are going to be able to, and us in the future, are going to be able to look back at this moment and be like, what was I thinking about, man? Were we talking about politics? Were we talking about this and what's happening in news? And absolutely, as a matter of fact, share some real quick happy news. Caesar and I are going to be presenting at a conference here in the next couple of weeks,
hmm
um, on really on building resources, on mental health, on reaching out to men, and what that looks like on a college campus. And so I'll make a note that my office is not supporting, and that's the reality. That's just the reality
Money, there.
of how this works, and they someone deems that that's not worthy of supporting financially. And so we believe in what we're doing so much. And this is a note to myself in 15, 20 years. We're paying for this out of pocket, man. We're going
Yep,
to that city and we're going to rent a hotel or a house and pay our own gas and food and all that stuff and still have a great time. And we won't think twice about it. It's an
not at
investment
all.
in us, and that's just, man, people do it all the time. And I wouldn't ever complain because it doesn't impact my job. I still love my job, man. I still think it's
No,
probably one of the best jobs I've ever had. But I also know this: sometimes you got to invest in yourself.
Yeah,
And whether that's a
absolutely.
new suit, a more dependable car, whatever it is, man, you got to invest in yourself. Maybe it's I've been working out too, man, and I'm kind of showing off with my Under Armour jacket here. I feel like I'm in sport mode right now, But the truth is that you got to take care of your temple, your
Hmm.
mind, your body, dude, your heart, your soul, if you believe you have one, and you got to take care of that stuff, man. That's kind of where we're at. And I think it's one of the lessons you've learned, right, bro?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think going a little bit back to the prepping stuff, this wasn't easy. It took us years to get us mentally prepared to be able to talk about this first of it. Like
Amen.
it took us plenty of conferences where we had these conversations that at times we broke down because at that moment we wouldn't have been able to do any of this. It took us years to be able to speak on this subject, speak on death, life, and everything in between without breaking
What
down like
what
that.
therapy? What therapy were we using before the podcast? Tomando.
Some Flor de Caña, bro. That's what it was. Flor de
Flor
Caña.
de Caña was sponsoring our emotions, man.
That was our therapy back in the conference days.
Vampiros, dude.
The vampiros, the palomas, all of that.
I had never heard any of those drinks, and I mean that until hanging out with this vato right here, and he was like, "Hey, in the room tonight, we're gonna do this and this and this." And like, whatever, dude. I just need to not think about some stuff. He I got some stuff that'll help you not think. Like what?
Shoot. Man, so Cristiano Ronaldo on the TV.
We had that dude because we
Some
had
good
the
times.
playlist going. We was drinking it up and just chilling in a room where when that's what I liked about it is like when you're at a conference and if you want to drink a little bit, it's safe because even if you were
Yeah,
downstairs, I don't drink at a bar, but if I was downstairs at a bar, I just go straight up to my room and you
that's
avoid
true.
getting in trouble and you don't have
Yeah.
to drink and drive because that drinking and driving affected my family negatively when I was 12 years old, and it's still a memory that I can't really shake. But so I don't drink and drive. I don't mess with that stuff. But I like
Mm,
to, if I want to enjoy a drink, I want to be able to do it in my room or in my home or outside, whatever, and not have the fear of getting in a car and putting someone's life at risk, my own life, everything I've worked for to
definitely.
lose it for drinking and driving, and that's just my choice, and I hope others make that same choice. I'm actually the kind of guy that if you need a ride, man, hit me up, dude. I'd rather you call me and get me all
Mm,
pissed off and bitching the whole time to pick you up somewhere in Dallas, and I'd rather do that than you get yourself in trouble and hurt somebody.
yeah, honestly, I mean, sometimes it takes that experience of knowing somebody or even going through it yourself to be able to understand that it's not worth it. It's not worth it at all.
It's hard, dude, because I mean, we all got our issues and all this stuff, but the thing
Yeah.
about those kinds of things is now you make your issue somebody else's.
Hmm.
It's like on the issue of death, like this is a bit controversial, what I'm gonna tell you, but when people talk about like these mass shooters and stuff, man, and they go in and try to take everybody out. That's why I'll never ever disrespect someone, make fun of someone, or kind of insult someone who's thinking about taking their own life. If you're struggling, dude, and I think about my fellow veterans, they take their life at about 22, 23 individuals a day, men and women, and but we do so. I like to think we do so in a way that brings honor as much as this is
Yeah.
possible. Like what I'm trying to say is, before it's taken out of context, we don't we don't go and we don't advocate going and taking out a bunch of people and then death by cop. Like if we're struggling
Yeah.
and we want to take ourselves out, we take ourselves out. And I'm not advocating for anyone to take themselves out. But I've been in a position where I thought I was gonna. you know, do something along those lines. And I would have never, and I did never think about, hurting others in the process. It's just my struggles, my ending, right? And so, and I just really like to think that as veterans, we're aware of how those mechanisms work, and those tools, and how it affects others.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, I just want to say that you'll never hear someone like myself, you know, talk about someone who's thinking about that. And actually, I'd rather call somebody a coward who went and took out kids and hurt other people.
Mhm.
They just wanted to hurt themselves. If you really want to hurt yourself, man, you ain't got to take everybody else
Mhm.
out. And I'm thinking, personally close to home, what happened in Uvalde a couple of years ago, man.
Mhm.
Right around this time, right? We just celebrated that 1 year
You know,
anniversary, and how many families were destroyed because this young man was struggling with some stuff, and I can imagine what he was struggling with. But there was an honorable way to do that, and taking out those kids was not honorable.
so,
Taking out a
yeah,
police officer is not honorable. Those kinds of things I don't support at all. And you can
you know,
cancel me all you want. The world is like that. But at least have some
yeah.
pride in who you are. But anyways, man, let me ask you a question before we get over here, before we get canceled.
So, yeah, last episode.
Hey, expand. This is our last episode, right? Expand on some of the lessons you learned in the podcast, man. What did you learn in
Man,
podcast?
honestly, I think one of the biggest things is to not, how do I word this? Um, Honestly, just to live life, not give any minute for granted, or not spend any minute for granted. We all have a destiny. We all have. I think Joel mentioned this a little bit. We all have a road, and we just have to follow that path. And at some point, our lives gonna end, and we'll move on. So enjoy it. Enjoy while we have it. Live every day like it's our last. Tell your family that you love them. You don't know if when you leave in the morning for work might be the last time you see them, might be the last time you come home. Uh, Tell them you love them. Tell them how you feel. Don't have regrets. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've been able to notice and understand that. And honestly, I mean, obviously, even before the podcast, with everything that I went through, you learn that not to take for granted any minute that you're alive, and the moments that you have to spend with your family. I think from the background, from our culture, family is one of the most important things for us. So being able to spend that time with your family, that quality time, that time of love that you feel comfortable with, the people that you love, and spending that time and just being there with them, not taking it for granted, not saying, oh, I'll see them tomorrow, I'll tell them I love them next week or whatever. Things like that. I think it's for me one of the biggest lessons that I've been able to take with me, and I think it continues to come back. And each episode is that none of our guests would have changed anything in their lives. I think that kind of struck
You're
me a
right.
little bit. I mean, I knew that obviously for me, I wouldn't change anything that I've been through, just because all of that has put me where I'm at now. But I figure a lot of people would. But it's that thing that keeps coming back, that nobody would change even a little bit of what happened through their lives, because again, that's what made us where we're at. And who knows if we would have been sitting there having those conversations at that moment for that episode, or whoever, if we
Because
changed something.
I think we tend to be more practical, man. I think we're realistic in understanding, like, you
Yeah,
know what? Here's the reality. I can't change yesterday. I
yeah,
can't even change what I said a minute ago or what I did,
yeah,
whatever. Or I can't even change what somebody else did to me. But you know what
yeah,
I can change? I could change how I respond to that, you
absolutely.
know? And so the thing is, like, hey, I had a situation happen when, I'm thinking about one guest, Mr. Peace. His mom passed away when he was young, bro. He was a
Yeah,
child. And he could sit there and live a life as a victim, or he
Mhm.
could sit there and live a life as a victor, right? Like, I'm going to go ahead and just keep on winning. And listen, he's had a successful life. Of course, I'm sure there were moments in his life where, he had some difficulties, some struggles, whatever it is. We've all
Mhm.
had, but he doesn't
Yeah.
live his life like that. Every one of them. I think about Armand. He's talking about, he didn't grow up with a father, bro. We had the
Father.
privilege. You and I both had a father, and the impact that that individual had on our lives.
Mhm.
You know, and and we're lucky, man. We're privileged, bro. Like, a lot of people don't have that, and
Yeah.
that's the beauty of all this. And so, like, I think we're practical. We wouldn't change it because we can't change it. If there was a crystal ball, man, we still not believers. We still would have been like, I'm not
Mhm.
changing anything because it made me
No.
who I am. And your life, if you're listening, it's made you who you are. Those challenges are not challenges. The difficulties or the easiness, whatever, it made you who you are. And it's real easy to be critical, right? Like, oh, look at billionaire son or millionaire son and heir to the millions. um there's still some struggles. I was reading the other day, I was talking to a professor friend of mine, and the son of a famous boxer who was also a boxer, he took his life the other day, man. This is about a month or two ago.
Mhm.
And you read the story and you're sitting there like, this person had it all. But did
Yeah.
they, bro? Like, they had all the money.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? Like, and I think we go after money so much that we think that's the answer. But if you got love, bro, you got more than money.
Yeah.
If you, if you got a house, security, if you're safe, you got more than money, man. That's the reality.
Yeah. It's more than the material is
Absolutely,
worth.
absolutely. Is there any moments that stand out for you and with our guests, man? Anything that kind of stands out as a lesson learned?
I think whenever we did Javier's episodes, I think
Yeah,
that was a great episode too. Just again understanding his lessons and where he comes from and what he had to struggle with, and how that life altering moment ended up changing his life for the good, and how he continues to help others, and he's trying to
yeah,
help those
intentional.
people that continue to struggle. So I think that was very powerful for sure.
And that's the thing, man. Thank you again for supporting us and listening in. And if you want to be a guest, man, reach out to us. We'd love to be a guest. And not everyone can travel here, but we have this resource where we're using this app, and actually this company has been super. We had some technical issues, and they addressed it right away, man. And it's been a great resource. And so we'd love to have you as a guest, and but we only have a couple spaces left, man. Like I said, we're gonna do 20, and then we'll take an assessment. We'll wrap up show, and then we'll decide what we're gonna do. But I'll tell you, already as a result of this, we have some exciting things coming up. We have some updates that we'll share here soon. But the very first one, of course, is that we'll be presenting at a conference specific to this. And if you hear this and you're going to be attending the University of Texas Male Leadership Summit, would love to see you there. And we're going to be presenting on that Friday at 10 a.m., 10:40 a.m., something like that. So on our dime, he and I are both covering this. Our offices part of it is also it's the end of the year, man. In the year, and that fiscal year, and the budget, it's just not there, man. And so it's a little rough, but you know what? We're doing okay financially enough to pay our own way, and we're pretty excited about it. But again, thank you all so much, and I'm excited about listening to this in a year, 5, 10 years, man, and just looking at us and watching us uh age, man. Again, I'm about to be 52. I'm about to be 52 here very soon. Well, I don't even remember when I was starting. Remember? I don't know. I don't know. That's 21 years ago for me. 21 years. I had my son was 7 already. I got married when I was 22. I was young, dude. Yeah, my son's 28. You're only a couple weeks apart. But well, man, thank you all so much for listening in. And if there's a guest you're recommending, man, send them our way. And we have some pretty cool guests lined up for a couple weeks. And then we'll take another little break here in about 5 or 6 guests, and right, and just kind of regroup and then wrap it up for that 20th guest. It's likely going to be more than 20 shows. It's going to be more than 20 episodes because our goal is to get a couple of those, a part 2 on a couple of those. We need to hear in the comment section who you want us to get a part 2 in with, man. Who do y'all want us to follow up? Yeah, we can bring out 1 or 2, but not more than that. We can't bring everybody back. It don't work like that. Well, thank you guys so much. And we'll see you next week. Our last 30.